Hello, you've landed on the Lonely Diplomat podcast, and wherever you are in the world, but particularly in Zagreb, being the only capital city in English that starts with the letter Z, I want to say hi and welcome. I'm Phil McAuliffe. I'm the Lonely Diplomat, and I have a website exclusively for diplomats and those who live the diplomatic life to help reconnect them, help reconnect you to yourself and the world around you as you lead your diplomatic life wherever in the world you lead it. Welcome to episode 33, and we're going to jump in very shortly to a discussion on Christmas and how for many of you, my awesome global audience, Christmas 2020 is going to be tough. It's going to be very hard mentally, emotionally, and possibly even physically. Before I jump into the episode, I want to say that this question was sent to me by email to admin@thelonelydiplomat.com from one of you, my awesome global audience. And sharing with me that they were worried about and anxious about Christmas 2020 and how they really wanted to be home but couldn't owing to the COVID pandemic and the COVID situation in inverted commas, but also that, well, I think we can safely say being 2020'd. And as we jump into the rest of this episode, and while it deals specifically on Christmas and this time of year, the festive season, if you don't celebrate Christmas, I invite you to extrapolate what I'm saying to any kind of religious, cultural festival that brings people together. So it might be a religious event, a major religious holiday, or a wedding, a funeral, an anniversary, a birthday party that traditionally would bring people together and would have us going home, spending time with friends and family. Because this time of year, Christmas, for many of us, can bring up those kind of hallmark ideals of Christmas, of sleigh bells ringing, and I don't know, why do sleigh bells ring? I grew up in the Southern Hemisphere. It's summer, but anyway, that was an aside there. But anyway, those kind of perfect Christmases that we see covered on Netflix at the moment, that bring people together, and there's smiling and laughing and triumph over adversity, and a good Christmas was had by all. So it can be really tough. It can be really tough when we have that perception of how things should be versus how things are, and that's how I'm going to. That's the prism through which I'm looking at my response, how I'm framing my response to this question, as I said, that was sent to me by email. And not critically, where we feel how things should be and we're disappointed because things aren't as we think they should be, that is a well-worn path to disappointment and regret. So a reframing, I was just about to say a simple reframing there, but it can be anything but simple when emotional matters are at play. An acceptance of what is can help us make better choices, make more appropriate choices based on how we want to respond to what is actually happening. And that's classical Stoicism for those of you who are philosophically minded. We have no, and I love this, I really love this as a guiding philosophy of mine, that we never have a choice. We never have a choice when it comes to the events that happen to us. As much as we think, as awesome diplomats and as overachievers as we are and as awesome as we are, we really don't have any control over many aspects of our life. And 2020 has repeatedly served up many examples, welcome and unwelcome, of how we have very little control. And frankly, it's not a realization that is exclusively the domain of 2020. We've never had much control over what goes on in our lives, but we always have control over how we respond. So when it comes to Christmas, the acceptance of what is, that if you are far from home and wanting to be home, it's okay. It's okay to feel exactly how you feel. If that's happy, if that's relieved, that's okay. If that's miserable, and if that's feeling alone, if that's feeling lonely, that's okay too. If it's a mixture of all of it at once, that's okay too. It might be that you might have a socially distant Christmas where you simply are alone, solitary, like you're there is no one with you. You're solitary, where you are in the world, and you're connecting with people over video chat like Zoom or something similar. Or it could be that you are actually at home with friends and family, like a regular Christmas during pre-COVID times. And you are able to sit and be with people, but you might have those niggling thoughts and feelings that you really need to be somewhere else in the world, that while all this is great and you should be feeling grateful and you should be feeling happy, there's a large part of you who really does not feel at home. That's okay too. That is okay too. You're allowed to be home and miss home. And I know that you understand that you, as someone who is a diplomat or lives the diplomatic life, knows exactly what I say when I say that we feel that we're not at home even when we are at home, and we miss our home when we are at home. That's completely natural sentence to say aloud to other diplomats, and it makes complete sense in our own mind. And it might not make sense to friends and family around the table. And they might actually say to us, oh, it's great that you're home. You should be really happy that you're home. And you might put on a brave face and say, yeah, it's great. But, inside, in your heart, you really want to be somewhere else. So yes, Christmas 2020 might be really hard for you where you are in the world. And that's okay. You have the power, as uncomfortable and as that realization might have you feeling terrible feelings, ones that you want to avoid, like sadness or homesickness, indeed loneliness. That's okay. You're really not alone, because that acceptance of what is allows us to make choices based on that. So if you are feeling, frankly, emotionally like rotten and awful and uncomfortable, and however that emotion is, you just sort of feel yucky within yourself, speak up. Say that to someone, because I guarantee that someone in like your friendship group, where you are in the world, is feeling exactly the same way. The acceptance of how we are feeling can lead to authentic connection with others. But if we are pretending, if we are putting on a brave face, if we are wearing a mask of, happy, jolly Christmas, that can, we give no one any reason to ask us how we are. And if someone does ask us how we are, and we say, oh, it's all fine, it's good, Merry Christmas, cheers. We give them no reason to ask how we are. So yes, Christmas 2020 might indeed, I'm going to speak very plainly here, Christmas 2020 might indeed be shit. Please allow yourself, perhaps uncomfortably, to feel exactly how you're feeling, and then make choices based on what you know rather than what you think you know, and based on how things should be. So if you find yourself reaching for alcohol, if you find yourself reaching for prescription or illicit drugs, if you find yourself doing online shopping, if you find yourself working, if you find yourself reaching for porn or I don't know, any of the exercising, as a numbing, pay attention to how you are possibly numbing those uncomfortable thoughts and feelings this year, because I feel, and this is how change can happen, how we can accept what is and make decisions based on that. Paying attention to what we're avoiding helps us realize where the pain and discomfort is within us and what's causing it, and then make conscious decisions from there. I wish I had more, joyous and wonderful answer to share with you, but I'm not in the business of doing that at the exclusion of something that will help you as you live your diplomatic life wherever you are in the world. Ideally, would love to say that follow this recipe, do take these 3 steps and you will have a happy Christmas no matter what. But I feel that that that's not how it's going to, how it works, particularly with me. With all of that said, this is the last episode of the Lonely Diplomat podcast for 2020. I'm going to be taking a few weeks off to be with my family, to be with Jeff and to be with my kids, and enjoy, hopefully, some summer weather here in Wellington, or indeed seems to be sort of continual winter, just with more light here in Wellington for a few weeks. So I'll be back one of the first weekends in January. But before I wrap up, I want to say how much I appreciate you for listening to these episodes of the Lonely Diplomat podcast, reading the blog, engaging with my work on social media. However it is that you are engaging with me and my work, I want to say thank you, and how much I appreciate your support, your advice, and your responses to my work. It really does help me continue to provide a necessary service to you as you lead your diplomatic life, wherever you lead it in the world. So I do hope that wherever you are, you have a safe and happy Christmas, and I do wish you all the very best in 2021. So until the next episode, please stay safe, stay well, stay kind, continue to be awesomely and humanly you, because the world really does need more you. See you in 2021.